Hello, everybody. Welcome to Joe's Bar. I'm your host, Joe Compton, and welcome to my bar. This is GoIndieNow, and we are live, technically at WWSC, although we are all in our own homes this time around, but that's okay. We are still celebrating When Words Collide regardless, and I'm real excited about that. I hope you guys check out all the programming that's going on this weekend. This is your very good opportunity if you've never been to When Words Collide, if you've missed out or you just can't go for whatever reason, to come and check it out because it's free all weekend and it's going to be just like this all weekend. Well, not just like this. This is going to be an interesting show to say the least, but there are some more educational, informational things that are going on. This one, we're just going to have a little fun, and I have the perfect group to do it with. Of course, I have. If you've watched our live streams from the last few, I have 3 returning champions and a brand new one to bring on, and I'm real excited about that. And so, why don't we start by introducing everybody, and I will just go right ahead and let Mark start, and then we'll go down the line. So, Mark.
Hello. Great to see you, Joe. Great to see everybody else who's here. I'm sorry we can't all see each other in person. I'm missing out on my yearly beer with KONN, and it's upsetting. My name is Marc Watson. I'm an author of science fiction, fantasy, just about any and all genre fiction is fair play with me.
You ended a little sooner than I thought you would. All right.
Sorry, I don't got much to say. All these people are better talkers than I am.
All right. Well, let's have KONN introduce himself. KONN.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's KONN LAVERY. Yeah, it's odd having no When Words Collide in person this year, but so awesome to see you guys on digital face. But yeah, I'm an author, a writer, graphic designer. My literary work tends to be dark fantasy, horror, and thrillers primarily, but I tend to dabble in all sorts of genres because that's always a second thought. So makes marketing a bit of a challenge. But yeah, indie author, also been published through short stories and zines, so kind of a hybrid of it all. And I'm from Edmonton, Alberta.
Welcome, sir. It's nice to have you, as always, here. And the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, my co-host for tomorrow, the man himself, Joshua Pantalleresco.
Everything you've heard about me is probably true. Just gotta say that up front. I'm Josh Pantalleresco. I write stuff in podcast too. My show, Just Joshing, just broke its 400th episode. I might actually win an Aurora Award for it tomorrow. I am a finalist once again. My next book is called Alice Zero. It comes out August 25th. I write science fiction, I write fantasy, I write young adult, and I just dabble in pretty much anything and everything. I don't really play by the rules. Never have, never will.
Nice. Awesome. Welcome, sir. And joining us for the first time, but hopefully not the last time, the amazing, the awesome Julie Hiner. Hello, Julie.
Hi. I have written a nonfiction book, very inspirational. That was years ago. And now I've delved into really dark crime, and I'm starting to write horror. I run a site called Killers and Demons, and it's a real mix of 80s heavy metal, serial killer murder, and even now I'm starting to do this story time with really creepy makeup, and I read other people's stories. And in fact, KONN's story is going to be on there next week, so if you want to see a read of that. But I'm just having a lot of fun. I grew up loving to read and go into another world, and I'm really loving being part of providing that for other people. And thanks so much, Joe, for inviting me tonight.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Is that going to be one of your flash fiction, KONN, that she's reading?
Oh, I read a snippet from Seed Me. He might have forgotten. I asked him a while back. I just really loved that book. I read one of the creepiest scenes, so it'll be really cool.
Ooh, I'm excited. Sweet.
You know, Josh, I have an underlying fear about tomorrow, and it's not being on air or anything. It's that we're on together tomorrow, and then you win, and then you get nominated next year, and then you're going to tell me I have to be there with you because I'm your good luck charm.
Well, I don't know. See, I'm in a weird spot because I made a deal with Pat Dwelling, and I kind of regret it. So I ended up having was last year I was in Ottawa, and I checked out KONN, which by the way is a very solid show in its own right. And if I had won, I told Pat if I'd won that day, I would have dressed in a tutu and I would have sang at the karaoke. Oops, I did it again. I thought that'd be funny, right? I didn't get a date, so anytime now, if I win a second Aurora at any time, I have to wear a tutu. Now, what makes it a little interesting right now is I don't have to actually fulfill my promise yet because we're all where we're at. But at some point, when things go back to somewhat whatever normal will be in the future, I'm going to have to go on a stage at one of these conventions or conferences, and I'm going to have to sing "Oops, I Did It Again." So I don't know if it's a good luck charm, bad luck charm, but it'll be fun.
Are you originally singing it, or are you going to lip sync it?
I'll originally sing it. I'll butcher it. I'm going to destroy the song. Right. I will make it so it'll never. You'll say this. You can wear the tutu, but you can never sing again. I'm okay with that. You know what?
I hope and pray that somebody's recording. If you guys are in the, if any of you are in the audience, and I'm talking to everybody here and everybody in the audience, get out your phone and record it for me, please, because that would be amazing.
All three festivals have people that have promised me they were going to record it. I actually, what I'm debating doing is actually making it a charity drive. Where if, like, depending on which area donates the most money, that's where I do it. You might as well be helpful in some way. I think that'd be a hilarious way to do it. And I would rehearse. I would actually do it. I got no problem. Listen, everybody who knows me knows I have zero problem making an ass of myself. I'm good at that. I can do it. So
can I just point out that he said that he was going to butcher "Whoops, I Did It Again" like the original is some kind of masterpiece. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It'll sound like a masterpiece when I'm done with it.
My question is, are there any stipulations about whether or not you have to wear pants or not wear pants under the tutu?
I'm going to wear pants.
Good question.
I am going to wear pants because, no, I'm not doing that.
As long as there's no follow-up questions, I have tights you can borrow.
Okay. But I have help from 3 different cities. This is going to be wonderful. One year I'm going to end up doing it. It's like, I'll be like, yes, I win. Ah, crap.
Now I'm curious why Mark has tights.
I said no follow-up questions.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. How's everybody doing in these times? I mean, and now we're you guys are probably doing much better than we are in terms of being a little bit more free, I would assume. I don't know. But obviously I'm not out there, which is shameful because I would love to be out there this weekend. I was looking forward to this. But how's everybody doing? Is it? Are we getting used to this? Is this kind of... hopefully we're not getting used to this. Well, I mean, what is everybody's thoughts on this right now? Where we're at?
Yeah. I really miss live music. Like, really miss live music. My husband and I have done our best to adapt, and I've done tons of writing and lots of work and lots of training, and even now, I can go out I ride bikes, so we live really close to a really nice area. But I do need that social component. And 3 days before Calgary shut down, I went and saw this 80s metal band, and it was ridiculous. And so I just like that night out in the sweaty bar with strangers and headbanging. And I miss that. But we put into perspective, it's not like we're in a really bad situation compared to a lot of people. But you asked, and to be honest, it's really fair to miss things. And I think we are social people. We're humans. So totally. I really
Is there drive-ins around you that have talked about doing stuff?
We don't have one. Ours burned down years ago, so... Yeah.
We do, but it's not open just yet because there's the one that's down in High River that's going to be opening up. So that we're talking about 25 minutes away. So there's going to be one there. Then there should be one up north as well. So like they're springing up in places, but nowhere near as common as I wish they were.
Are those for concerts?
Well, yeah, they've
No,
been
like for like movies and stuff.
streaming. Yeah, they've been like, like actually Metallica just put some tickets on sale for some big thing. They're streaming to drive-ins all over the U.S. But yeah, I guess it depends on whether your city has a setup for that.
Well,
I think they've been doing in Iceland. They've been doing metal shows, Con. Like some of the more progressive and death metal bands have been doing, like, they'll stand on the actual. They'll either project onto the screen behind and be behind it, or they'll stand on the little platform that's right in front of it and perform.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because we're doing something weird in Edmonton, and I've been seeing the construction. Because Edmonton got for reference, they recently got like a huge new arena that was gonna bring new life to the city, and obviously COVID happened, but for hockey season, they decided there's a huge empty parking lot beside it that they're going to do a drive-through beer garden for hockey. And it sounds like a paradox to me because you can't drink and drive. But I don't know what they're going to do, but they've got all of the wood laid out. So we'll find out.
For anybody who's in the States watching, I don't think you could have said something more Canadian than drive-through beer at a hockey arena.
That's pretty. I've been straight. For me, this has been weird because I ended up in Windsor, Ontario, which is already weird enough. And then I've been meeting all kinds of people all over the world, which has been really cool. Like my next guest is Jean-Marc Liederman, which he's a pretty well-known musician. I got to him. I've been meeting all kinds of people. I went straight into acceptance. I just said, you know what, fuck it, let's make some money. That's been my mentality pretty much the whole time. I've gotten more rejections in 5 months than I've had in 3 years, and I started an audiobook business. I already got my first client. When this is over, I'm going to still be freelancing. I'm never going back to a day job again. No. No. Not doing it. You can't pay me enough money to deal with it. I might do temp work just to get out of the house once in a while. You might be able to talk me into that, but we're talking like one day. I'm too old for this. I'm too old for that crap. I'm having a blast. Right?
Aren't you like in your 20s?
I'm 38. I said okay. Yeah. I know, isn't it great?
It's your great skin. It's your great skin. I thought you were way younger than that.
Yeah,
it was 25 minutes, not 25 hours, right, Mark? Yeah. It wasn't 25 hours. It was 25 minutes.
If it's 25 hours, that's meant. Oh God.
Yeah, nobody's gonna go 25 hours.
Sorry.
No.
I might go 25 hours. It's amazing how much I'll do right now just to get out of the house sometimes.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, absolutely. No, I think that's the thing. Like I find myself. This is what I find myself in. Maybe it's getting used to the discipline of being a freelancer is one thing, but just that there's those moments when you really have literally nothing to do, and you don't know what to do with yourself right now. And I think that's the part where I'm like, I'm gonna go out for a walk. I'm also in the one county in Ontario that's still in stage 2, not stage 3, because of not my city, but just what's going on about 20 miles, 30 clicks southeast of me. So the whole county's still kind of in like stage 2 because of that. So it's like nothing's really open. Well, so things are open, but I can't do anything fun yet. So it's like I don't know what to do.
Josh also just Canadianized with clicks.
Yes.
You got 4 of us here, man. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. Rebecca says Walmarts are setting up screens in their parking lot. See, that's kind of scary.
I think from what I've seen, Con, you've absolutely been crushing the work.
Oh yeah, man. When this thing started, for those first 2 months, like it just springboarded me into because there's nothing else to do. So I just ended up doing a bunch of work, and it put me like 6 months ahead of where I wanted to be. And with summer, I've been capitalizing on meeting people out in parks and fires and stuff, because when winter comes, it's gonna be like weird. So a lot of isolation. So I just taking some time off, but yeah, it's definitely given me more time to work.
You also have an impressive work ethic and dedication, though. And watching that when you post things, it's really inspiring.
Oh, good. Yeah. I try to keep consistent with the blog, especially where that one's kind of templated in terms of one type of post a week, where it's like first week is something out of the box, second week is an interview, third week is a short story, then the fourth one's more of a up to date on what's going on, and all the extra stuff kind of is in between, whether it's like
you really embraced the flash fiction aspect of the blog too. That's been really impressive. You kept that up pretty well.
Yeah, it's been 2 years I've been doing those little guys, and I'm gonna put them all together in an anthology finally. Just haven't had time.
You should come read on my podcast.
Ooh, actually, yeah, that'd be fun.
My big thing was when literally the day Vancouver started to shut down completely, I posted my first chapter of my, at that point, novel in progress up. And then 2 weeks later, I started having guests show up on the blog. I've had Fondly, I've had Robert Sawyer's coming up. I've got Katie Salitis, I've had Susie Bedori. I've been trying to get Julie, but we'll see when she ever shows up. I've tried to get Joe as well.
I'll do it anytime.
So that's for sure. You'll have mine next week, I promise.
Yeah. So I've been. It's actually forced me to keep going because I'm actually now, because my novel is going to be done in a month on the podcast, and then so I got my next release after, which will be about another month's worth of material, and then I start with actually the novel I'm working on right now, and I start doing that. Although I might just do that. That'll be like the rough draft. So I don't know if people want to read something that terrible, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's a tough one, because you want people to read it, but you're going to make revisions.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it could be a fun experiment. It could be a fun little experiment. So.
Well, that's apparently the point of Wattpad, that social media platform for writing. It seems to attract a lot of fan fiction and younger, like YA type writing, but it works incredibly well because people write on the go on their phones and they write short spurts, but then they go back and add revisions and they'll make a little comment at the top. And I've looked over the social media platform and it does well, and they get like tons of views. Like some of their top stories or books have like 100,000 views.
It's amazing like things like that come back and forth in style, right? I mean, there was a time when at the very beginning of all of this in the indie world, when it was really, that's where it all started, was the Wattpad movement and Reddit and all that, and then that got passe, and then like some people started leaving it behind, and now it's back again. It's kind of same thing with newsletters. Newsletters has had that kind of cycle as well.
Yeah, where they get popular and everyone does newsletters, and they're always nice because you get to keep your contacts, but sometimes people get tired of email and then no one talks about it, and then everyone loves them again. They all go through phases, and that's the tricky part with all this marketing and getting your work out there, whether it's like doing early access to stuff or starting it on a forum or a blog or waiting till the product or like the story's done. You just kind of figure out and try different stuff and see what sticks for that particular time period, because it'll be different for the next book.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
What about Mark?
I have to be the contrarian, as I always am. As Joe knows, I am the anti-author. I've done basically nothing, and that's by design. The honest truth is, I've been incredibly fortunate because over the course of this entire thing, very little has changed for me. Because my wife worked from home in the first place, my job was considered essential, so I never really left the office in any way. The biggest changes were that my kids were home more often. They got a really long summer vacation, which we had to learn how to deal with. And things like hockey and baseball for them got canceled, and in real life, but that's my pain, not theirs. But right now, my oldest son's baseball season is winding down. We're coming up to playoffs right now. I'm one of his coaches, so I'm busy doing that. I think pen to paper, I've probably crafted maybe 5,000 words over the course of the last 5 months. I do have something coming out in September, but I wrote that like months ago. So I'm kind of like doing some things with that, but it's all set and ready to go. So yeah, I've been not writing, and
For anybody, and for everybody who's new to this, Mark, this is okay with Mark. Everybody, so
I'm just
don't
fine with it.
encourage him or give him advice. He's okay with this.
Actually, when me and Mark talked on the pod, it was really cool. It was I could respect where Mark was coming from. Most of what he said. It's like there's a method to his madness, ladies and gentlemen, and as a result, don't change it. It works for him, and
that's it. Like I was able to put together this collection of short stories that I've got coming out, so that's kind of my contribution to the writing world that's going to come out this year. I've had like other behind the scenes things going on with my science fantasy duology, so I'm dealing with those kinds of things. It's a lot of handling the business of it, and I as long as I can get something tangible, something you can really sink your teeth into, maybe once a year, that's pretty okay with me.
Yeah, I have no room to talk. Mark has produced more content than I have in 5 years, so I've released one book in 5 years, Mark. So you're good to go.
But I can also say that by even just taking a look at the GoIndieNow Facebook page and the YouTube videos and everything, I think you're doing okay in other aspects.
Yeah.
Joe, you're media mogul. It's okay. Yeah. We don't hold it against you.
I know. But yeah, I mean, I would love to be more active writing. I'm actually back into screenplays again, so I'm real excited about that. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things, you get busy and one thing gets put to the side, and then the next. I mean, we have all been there. We all know that. And
I'm at 3 podcasts a week. I'm scared I'm going to go to 4.
That would be amazing if you became daily.
I would have laughed at that 2 years ago. I'm not laughing anymore. That's scary. It could happen, and if it does, I might openly cry.
And for people who don't know, Rebecca Jonesy is my editor and publisher of Three Furious Press, and she mentions, but now I have a cattle prodder to move me along. Yes, and that hurts.
To meet you. Okay, good to know. We now know Joe gets things on a regular basis. Rebecca, beater of Joe Compton.
Julie, you released we've talked about this before, but you've released in the at the very beginning of all this, and you've had a marketing fun, I'm sure, throughout all this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm learning. I totally go in things thinking I don't know anything, and I just ask a lot of questions, and I see what other people are doing, and if I see something I like or that I think is working, I reach out to them, ask them questions. But yeah, I've really embraced the social media side of it, which I'm not of the age that you grew up with a cell phone or internet or anything. So, but I was a computer scientist for a long time, so I think that helps because opening up Photoshop or whatever isn't really that scary for me. But I just, my book is infused with 80s metal, and that's a very dramatic visual thing. So I write really descriptively, and I just felt that all the social media behind it had to show that vivid, dramatic thing to grab those people that are going to want to read something in that time period. But in fact, you don't have to really be from the 80s because, like I said, it's really dark murder and there's big homicide investigation. And so a lot of people are really fascinated with that. Like if you open up Netflix or anything, it's just, it's everywhere. But I like to read and watch really visual stuff. And so I think for me, I've realized it's really fun to spend the time and do all the visual stuff. And then it's just a matter of figuring out a process and the tools and getting things in place so that you're not spending like way too much time scheduling stuff or doing the post, but you're allowing yourself to spend the time on the actual art. And it's fun for me to play around with my covers and pictures. And, if people don't like that, of course, it's not fun, but I find that really fun.
But that's a pretty cool cover. I like the cover.
but that's what you want anyway. Like I'm going to be talking about this tomorrow on my advertising in the apocalypse thing. Not all marketing is about your book. It's also just about what makes fun for you.
Yeah.
You want to find your audience as people that are going to relate to the things you're saying, right, and doing, and you love that stuff. It translates. It really does. People will get into it, even if it's not quite their thing. You cannot help but feel it when someone's being genuine. You just know it when someone is, and once you get that, you just go with it.
It's infectious and contagious, right? I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
it grabs you, and then you start to you may not have been a fan of murder mysteries, and you kind of, because of the way Julie does it, and you think it's cool, you get into it, and it's kind of that's kind of how it sets fire, Yeah. You were saying something, KONN?
You follow kind of your intuition with it, with marketing, like, because it's a whole weird world to market, and Josh was saying, you do stuff that's not just about like the writing too, and you see what people engage with, but also what you naturally relate towards, and kind of find like a happy medium. Particularly this year, I used to do a lot more blog posts about tips and helping people and stuff, and with marketing and design and whatnot. But this year I've moved more into writing observing essay style blog posts, and oddly enough, those have been getting a lot more views and like returning people viewing, because you can track all those weird stats on websites, and so I've been kind of gravitating towards that a lot more rather than step 1 and step 2 and stuff, because it's engaging to write for me too.
Yeah, you make a point. If you're writing about something that you're passionate about, that just comes out. And people, even if they're not normally reading that topic, they read it because they can feel your passion in there, and it's interesting.
Well, like one of the simplest things I do for market, it's as much about my brand as it is about something I believe in. And I'd always do the motivational thought of the day. Yeah. And I'm flabbergasted because I'll put it in my story. And one of the reasons I put it in my Facebook story is I'm curious who actually reads my motivational stuff. It's not a small number. I was like, what the hell? Right? And it's just like, but people get it because it works for me, because it's from me. It's not because it's this, here's this emotional platitude. Please, here's the collection plate. I mean, no, I'm not doing that. What I'm doing instead is no, man, if you really, like, this is how it works and this is how it goes, good things will happen. And people are like, wow, he really means it. I think he's full. So honestly, I'm sure some people think he's full of shit. Some people, though, it's like, no, I really dig this. But I think also right now, like, and it's true, like, if you look at the people, like authors that do well with marketing, they're not really talking about their books. They're more like, they are, but they're not. Like, it's more like 80-20. A friend of mine gave me this advice. Like, 80% of what you're marketing is stuff you care about. When Mark's talking about how his Cubs suck, or whatever, or whoever the baseball team of his choice is, I'm sorry if I got that wrong. Right?
Wrong. Even Joe knows, and he's in California.
Yeah, so I give you a hug if I could, buddy. But anyways, the thing about that, see, that's genuine Mark, right? That's who Mark is. So that, in its own way, is the best kind of marketing. When Julie dressed up in makeup and actually reads, I get a real kick out of that, actually. To be perfectly, I get a kick out of that. But because you know what it actually reminds me of, kind of, sort of, the old Tales from the Crypt. It's got kind of that vibe to it that's just really cool. And I dig it because it's like it's like a homage to that. So I get a kick out of that personally.
And what's really cool about what she does is she does it for other people. It's not she's not reading her stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I do read my stuff every so often, but I love reading other people's stories. And what really happened is some of them messaged me right away. They're like, oh my God, I've never heard my story read by someone else. And then of course I do the really creepy voice. So I really pronunciate like blood and slice and stuff like that. And they get a delight out of hearing their work. And that actually makes me feel really excited because I read the stuff that I loved reading and I want other people to read it and to hear it. So it's such a delight. It really is. And the makeup, I mean, like, I'm just really having fun, but it's actually pretty creepy. So, you know, I usually do it when my husband's out, but if he has been home when I was quote unquote filming, and he just kind of looks and he's like, oh, hey, creepy. And then he goes in the other room. And like,
but that's cool. But there's a genuineness to it. Like, honestly, like, people think marketing is this super tough thing. I'm pimping myself for tomorrow. Advertising in the apocalypse, whether that's the pound. But one of the things I admit it, I am.
What time, Josh? What time is it at?
It's 8 p.m. Alberta time. I will know whether or not I'm wearing a tutu by that point. So, anyways, but the thing about that is, right? Marketing doesn't have to be necessarily about sales. It's about telling a story. If authors looked at marketing and sales as telling a story, they would actually be farther ahead, right, than actually just, you know, oh my God, I gotta sell something. No, tell a story. People love stories. Tell a story.
I have a question along those lines from the audience. If you guys want to take a question,
Sure.
Mike Ferry is asking, and I can't put it up on the screen because it was in my watch party, so I don't get the comments there. But he said, "Is it worthwhile paying out of pocket toward marketing and advertising? He has a novel coming out in a couple months, and he's expecting to dump some money into promotion. Do that without doing that."
That is a huge question, I think, because there's so many possibilities, right? Like I'm the non-serious author, but I still have, right? I still have paid money out of my pocket to put myself out there, mostly just to find out what works and what doesn't. But is it worth it? That's a personal question for every individual. It depends on where your measure is.
I'm gonna ask Mike. Actually, this is the question Mike needs to ask for himself, and that's this: what's his goal for scale? Because that's the big one. If his goal is to scale to a certain audience, maybe. If his goal, like, what's the end goal? Otherwise, I would just say see my panel tomorrow. I mean, but the other part of it is, the reason advertising is so expensive is the advertisers are compensating for a lack of your enthusiasm. Nobody's going to be as enthusiastic about your book as you are. And advertisers, you have to pay them to be enthusiastic. That's how I kind of look at it. Now, it doesn't mean that ads don't work. There are situations, depending on, then his situation is got to definitely be heavily considered here. Is he an Amazon exclusive? Is he going wide? Does he have his goals with hitting target markets and audiences? There are so many questions he has to answer himself. But the thing I would just caution him about is this: no one's going to be as enthusiastic as you, and to get really the results in advertising you probably are looking for, you're going to have to pay them to be enthusiastic. That takes a lot of money to do that.
And Megan wants to know, isn't the end goal to make money?
Is it?
First of all, I just want to say hi, Megan. Megan and I have shared some valuable book real estate together, and it's great to see her here. She also is a wonderful fluky fiction author, just as I am with my first book. So hi, Megan. And isn't the goal to make money? Answers may vary even on this panel.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, I'll give you an example. I'll talk about my current situation. I miss Megan. So I'm looking at marketing my books over a 6-month period. And I have actually a plan to do this. The first part of my plan is making Amazon exclusive. Because Amazon with ads, they tend to be a lot more giving on what your return's going to be if you are exclusive to them. They're not quite so giving when you're abroad. So if I'm going to spend my money on Amazon, I'm going to do it right now because I'm exclusive to Amazon. When I launch myself to Go Kobo, I'm going to create a brand new campaign for when I go to Kobo because I can extend some reach on that. And when I finally go to print my book on Kickstarter, I'm going to have 4 months of marketing. It's not including everything I do on my podcast. So I've been building myself up very quietly, or not so quietly, depending on how you look at it, for 2 months already. And I'm going to keep advertising long after. But I also have a platform most people don't. And I take advantage of that, right? So I can play a long game without spending a ton of money. But also realistically, if you're looking at this from a traditional publishing perspective, they market books for 2 years before they usually ever come out. Something to consider. So that kind of investment of time and money is not easy for most of us to get to. Some of us can do it, not many.
Yeah, and to kind of jump on the initial question about paying for marketing, it kind of depends on where you're at with your writing career. If you have a lot of the other main elements figured out, like author platform, you got a bunch of things set up like newsletter, social media, website, you doing a secondary writing related thing like a podcast or blogging. There's a bunch of extra pieces you can do that eventually tie into marketing that also let you build up organic social circles and networks and fans ultimately. And those are incredibly valuable because you'll gain reoccurring readership and reoccurring people that are interested in your work. Advertising works great when you want to cast basically into the unknown and you are interested in finding a new demographic that you're not entirely familiar with, and ads work great, whether it's like a straight up Amazon ad, Facebook ad, or you're using promo sites like BookBub or something. So if you've got kind of a strong foundation already within what's known as the author platform, advertising works great. And of course, the holy grail are reviews. Reviews will help sell more books, and it makes advertising easier because you've got more reviews. So reviews, I'd say, if you're launching a book, is almost better. And if you can get people to do advanced reading copies before the book comes out, that is ideal, because then you can get them to do reviews on Goodreads, on Amazon, and whatnot. And that just makes your advertisings worth more for what you pay for.
And some ads you can't even get unless you have a certain amount of reviews to begin with. So
yeah.
Rebecca says, so it's like hiring a call girl. You can pay them to fake it. Yes.
That is the best analogy I think you could possibly come up with.
There's some truth to that.
There's a mountain of truth to that, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting dichotomy, right? And
there is another market that, by and large, authors aren't tapping into, and this is a little different approach to your marketing. I don't know if anybody here knows of Russell Nohelty. Does anybody here know him?
No.
Okay.
I know very little.
Okay, so he focuses primarily on 2 platforms: Kickstarter and his mailing list. He doesn't care about anything else, and he makes a killing doing it. Because, okay, so this is the flip side. This is something a lot of authors also need to consider. I talk about this again more tomorrow, but Kickstarter and your mailing list are the biggest 2 income streams that you as an author control. You don't control Amazon. You don't control YouTube. You don't control. I can control my podcast to some degree because of sponsorships and things of that nature. I cannot control, however, I can't control just how Spotify makes its money. I can't control. There's a lot of platforms, content platforms, that do not pay you worth a damn. Kickstarter does. Twitch does. So does your mailing list. If you build your mailing list to a certain number, you will make a living doing this. That's the trick. So you can actually skip reviews. Don't necessarily are the end all be all either. The goal is to build your market, your fan base, your following, whatever that may be. And you can do it a number of different platforms and ways. What you have to make the decision is what is your approach going to be? And you got to make the decision of how best to interact with the communities you choose. Kickstarter is a community. You have to go in there and treat it like it is a community. And if you do that, you can do quite well. I think books, to be perfectly blunt, authors are by and large missing the boat there. Brandon Sanderson just made $6 million, and guess what? All that's his money. He pays for the book, and he doesn't have to pay anybody else. He pays for the cost. So, I mean, you got, as far as it goes, most of us are missing. That's a gold mine most of us aren't tapping into at all. And your mailing list is the other area where you control pretty much your financial future, right? So there are different approaches depending on your business model where you want to go. So you have to make that decision as an author. I think authors have to think themselves as one of two ways, whether they're an entrepreneurial sole proprietorship or are they going corporate. That's really how you got to look at yourself seriously if you want to make this as a business. Your sole proprietorship, you want to build your mailing list, you want to build your mailing list, you want to build a customer base. You got your B2C, your B2C is your books, your B2B is other businesses, publishers, editors, things that like you have a model. If you're corporate, you're thinking traditional publishing. You're thinking their formulas, their deadlines, their structure, because they're these giant structures, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you gotta and you should be looking at Amazon is somewhere in between there. They're not quite the corporate structure, but they're definitely not a sole proprietorship anymore either if you go exclusive with them. If you go wide, like partnerships, things of that nature, you have to think of it as a business model in terms of your structure. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go corporate? Do you want to be sole proprietorship? And every approach has different avenues you can take to get there. If you go Kickstarter, you will never be on the best-selling list. But if you're paid, do you care? Right? On the flip side, maybe you want the prestige because that prestige actually opens doors in places like Hollywood, places like that may have heard of you. Right? It's easier to do that through Amazon than it is through Kickstarter. Doesn't mean it can't be done because I know guys that have. But the point I'm trying to get across is your approach, how you think your approach at the very beginning is going to determine the path you take to get there.
Yeah, that really ties into that one question that popped up. Is it about making money?
Mhm.
What are you trying to do? Like one good book I read by Sean Coyne, The Story Grid. He at the very intro, he just asks like, are you looking as a writer to make the next great American novel, or are you looking to be a writer? What are you interested in? Because if you want to make the next great American novel, you're going to be tinkering for your whole life. You might make a really good piece, and it might be remembered, but you're still gambling. But if you want to be a writer, you're going to be writing. And that ties into kind of what you said. Do you want credit be certified essentially by other people through bestsellers list and awards and ratings on all these different platforms, or are you looking to make a happy living with like an engaged fan base that are interested in what you're doing? They don't care.
Most great American writers too who have written the great American novel didn't have success till post they were dead, posthumously.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you have to make a conscious choice what you want to do, right? So, and with that choice will determine kind of your business model. And you can make money. There's big money in this business, but you got to be really conscious with the choice you're making doing it.
And I think also there's something to be said for diversification too. You know, we all know Susie Vidori, and Susie Vidori has turned her entire, writing career into her life, into a job. And she's done it not just because she sold books, but she's made money doing other things besides just the books. And that's,
Why do you think I'm doing the audiobook?
Right. Yeah.
It makes one. I have the qualifications for it. I certainly have the audio background for it. But number two, I'm looking at this from a business perspective. I enjoy telling stories. I enjoy hearing people's stories. It fits my brand in a way that makes sense. It diversifies my writing portfolio, and it also opens doors to other things down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's the thing. Right, there are so many business. And also, the thing you gotta understand about Susie, a lot of people may not fully realize this. She has a corporate background. She has a serious business acumen that is almost unmatched. No joke. She was one of my favorite clients. I did the game show things we did at Wild West, which was awesome. But she was so easy to work with. But the other part about it is, she has a plan. She's one of the most well put together people I know, and might be the sharpest person in the room.
Yeah, I was just citing it as an example of somebody that we all know that people can relate to, understanding how to diversify. But yeah, for sure she's a powerhouse, and she's a locomotive. So
Love her.
But we're coming to the end of it, and I have a couple things I want to mention. But before I do that, I would love for each of you to tell everybody where they can find you, and just a personal thank you for being here and doing this. I really appreciate it. I know there's better ways to spend your Friday night, so I really appreciate you guys being here. So so let's start with Julie. Julie, tell everybody where they can find you.
It's pretty simple. Just go to killersanddemons.com, and it's all there. If you do sign up for the newsletter, you get a free story right now. So, scary, in the woods, murder, of course. But yeah, everything's there. All of my stuff is there.
Nice, awesome. Mr. Watson, tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh, you can find me at marcwatson.ca. That's MarcWatson. I am the French-Canadian spelling of Mark, even though there's no French blood in me whatsoever. You can also, if I'm active anywhere, I'm active the most on Twitter. So that's at WriteWatson, WRITE. And you can find my stuff on just about everywhere. I will say that my Catching Hell duology is currently off of sale, and things are happening with it, but you can still find this guy available anywhere fine books are sold.
Awesome. Definitely go check that book out. If you're a fan of fun, just fun, I think is the best way to describe it.
Let's say dark. Let's say dark fun.
Dark fun. There you go.
Dark fun.
All right, Konn.
I'm KONN Lavery. You can find me at KONNLAVERY.com. I'm often on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook mostly. And my first book in my fantasy series is now permanently free. It's in celebration of the fourth and final book coming out, that came out in July. So if you're interested in dark fantasy, check that out. If not, the blog's got a range of strange short fiction, and I've written a plethora of other things. So yeah, find me online, Google me, I'm there. And thanks for having us, Joe. It's great to see everyone on a screen.
And Konn will be forever entrenched in my world because this is the logo he created. So,
Awesome.
And before you go, Josh, Regine wanted to just let you know that you have way too much energy for a Friday night.
You got too much energy for a Tuesday morning. You can really just take whatever time you want.
Dude, I can't. I gotta say, honestly, I'm loving this transition in my life. I really am. I'm looking forward. I'm just going with it, and I'm kind of just seeing where things go. Say, you can find me. My show is called Just Joshing. You can find it. It airs 3 times a week. I can't believe I can say that. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Tuesdays, Thursdays are my interviews. Saturdays, story time, which usually features me reading from my story and a guest reading from something of theirs. And you can find me at my website, jpantalleresco.wordpress.com. It's a work in progress. My next book is Alice Zero, which is Alice in Wonderland and Greek mythology. It comes out August 25th. The Cloud Diver is available now exclusively on Amazon as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks, everybody. And yes, I agree, Regine. Great logo.
Thank you.
I was very, very happy. But just to let everybody know, after this, please go over to the think tank. If you're a GoIndieNow person here, we're going to have a watch party of the incredible event. I think one of the unique things about WWC. Let me make myself big here so I can emphasize this. One of the big things about WWC, Noir at the Bar, it's one of the coolest things, and trust me, it's one of the coolest things you'll see. And I don't know how they're running it this time around. This is a unique thing, obviously, but you're going to get a good sampling of why it's pretty cool and interesting. And it's one of my favorite things to look forward to whenever I'm at this conference. And so I'm going to broadcast on Think Tank a watch party for their live stream. If you are, of course, with WWC, you'll be able to see that on WWC, and on the Noir at the Bar, I believe, is the Facebook page that it's going to be on. But go check that out. Our own Julie is going to be doing some reading there, and so that'll be awesome. And also, I wanted to mention one last thing before we go. And everybody, here's a little sneak preview of the red carpet. And here is tomorrow.
Yes.
We will be, myself and this handsome, rugged gentleman to my right over here is going to be joining me, and we're going to be hosting a live red carpet event for the 2020 Auroras leading up to the event, which is hosted by Marc. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his last name. Everybody
Marc Watson.
Thank you. And Marc is, we'll hopefully get a chance to talk to him as well. But we're going to do some red carpeting. You'll get to meet a lot of the people who have been nominated, and we'll talk to them. We'll hear about the Aurora Awards. So if you don't know what the Aurora Awards are, you're going to find out tomorrow, because I've got a nice little presentation right before we start the red carpet to show everybody and give everybody an idea of what gets nominated and how it gets nominated and all that. And that's tomorrow between 2:30 and 4:45 Mountain Time. I've been told that it needs to be MDT, not MST, but I think whatever. We'll have another day. But anyway, that's tomorrow. So everybody come and check that out. It'll be on these same networks that you're watching now. So I hope that you all come and join us, and that's going to be a lot of fun. I will be dressed up, and I believe Mr. Pantalleresco is also going to be dressed up.
Yes, I will. I will be wearing a suit and tie. Although I might just have my tie and my nice shirt on, and when we start, so yeah, that might be it. And then, but no, I'm looking forward to it. The only thing I'm just going to remind everybody: Joe is going to be manning the fort for the first hour on his own, so go easy on him. I joined him at around 3:30, and then from there we'll just be interviewing and going back and forth, and Joe will make me look good, and Joe always thanks for having me.
Well, thank you, Josh. That's awesome. Like I said, everybody come and join us for that, and stay tuned for Noir at the Bar. And remember that it's always time to go indie now. And with that, the bar is closed. Thank you, everybody. Cheers to everybody, and have a great rest of your conference, everybody. So take care.